You're listening to Big World Network.
Hypothermia, Episode 1, The Long Road Home, Part 1, written by Robert S.C. Cutler, read by Fentress O. Moore. Gia Lee and Alam poured out of the overcrowded passenger train. Dozens of other people joined them, having just made the long 12-hour trip from the coastal city of Shentao to Hanyang in China's Yunnan province. Exhausted and hungry, the two young women raced out of the station, searching for the bus that was headed to the city of Guilin. Locating the bus just as the driver was closing the doors, Gia Lee and Alam hurried on board and made their way to the last open seat. Before they could sit down, a rude young man forced his way past them, knocking Gia Lee to the floor. She recognized him as Quan, a foreman in the toy factory where she and Alam assembled and packaged toy dolls and action figures. "That was our seat," Gia Lee exclaimed, lying in the gritty aisleway. "Too bad," Quan said. "I work harder than you." Not waiting for a response, Quan closed his eyes and turned away. Angry and wanting to say more, Gia Lee held her thought, knowing Quan could easily have her fired out of spite. Two other passengers, one in the middle of the bus and one in the rear, made room enough for a single person to share the seat with them. Gracious but upset they wouldn't have each other to talk to for the nearly 5-hour ride, the two young women sat down and thanked the passenger next to them for their kindness. Full of weary travelers, the bus drove west into the setting sun, leaving the crowded city behind. Feeling as if she had just closed her eyes, Gia Lee awoke in the dark to the sound of squealing tires, a hard jolt, and people screaming. Suitcases, bags, and other loose items fell from the overhead storage compartments onto the startled passengers below. Across the aisle from Gia Lee, a young mother holding her 3-year-old son had been struck in the head and was bleeding from a deep gash. Gia Lee took a scarf from her bag and gently wrapped it around the mother's forehead. "Are you a nurse?" the mother asked Gia Lee. Gia Lee smiled and shook her head. "Do you know what happened?" "The bus engine stopped and then the driver lost control." "Gia Lee!" Alam yelled from the back of the dark bus. "Are you okay?" "I think so," Gia Lee answered. "These men are opening the emergency door. I'll meet you outside," Alam said. After prying and pulling, the front door was opened as well. As if a drain was suddenly unplugged, Gia Lee was pushed forward and forced down the aisle and then out the door into a water-filled ditch. On her way out, she noticed the bus driver slumped over on the steering wheel, bleeding from his head and mouth. Her feet and the lower part of her pants soaked, Gia Lee stumbled out of the ditch and onto dry land, trying hard not to fall like so many of the other passengers had. Spotting Alam behind the bus, she called out her name and hurried toward her. Seeing her friend's bag hanging off her shoulder, Gia Lee cried out in frustration. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" asked Alam. "My bag is still on the bus." "Just wait until everyone gets off, then go back in and get it." "All that I own is in that bag, my money, my phone. I need to call my father to let him know we were delayed," Gia Lee said. "We can call him on mine," Alam said while removing a cell phone from her purse. Expecting the screen to illuminate, she huffed in frustration when nothing happened. "Is the battery dead?" asked Gia Lee. "I don't think so. My phone is dead too," a man standing next to them said. As the two women looked around, the same scene of people trying to wake up their cell phones was unfolding over and over again. Not wanting to wait any longer, Gia Lee climbed back onto the bus through the rear emergency door, forcing her way past several people who were sifting through the fallen bags and other belongings. Reaching her seat, she discovered her clothes scattered about, but her phone, money, and bag were all missing. Before she could wrap her mind around what was taking place, the looters hurried off the bus, leaving her standing alone in the dark. Lee climbed out the back emergency exit carrying an armful of clothes, sat down, and started to cry. Alam crouched down beside her friend. What happened? Where is your bag? They stole it. Those horrible people stole my bag, my phone, and all of my money. My family was counting on me, and now I've let them down. We can look again. Maybe your bag fell under the seat, Alam suggested. Knowing she had no other choice, Lee stood up, wiping the tears from her eyes. When they climbed back into the bus, they were startled to see a man sifting through a pile of clothes. Why did you take my things? Lee yelled. They don't belong to you. I am not a thief. They stole from me too, the man yelled back. Lee recognized the man's voice and cautiously made her way closer toward him. Kwan? Kwan stared at Lee until he could make out her face in the dark. Everything is ruined now, he said and returned back to his sifting. Just leave me alone. Without saying another word, Lee blew past Kwan and started digging through the mess of bags, clothes, and other personal belongings, hoping to find something that belonged to her. With Alam's help, Lee found a small embroidered coin purse her mother had given to her on her 12th birthday that was holding a week's worth of wages. At least you found some of your money, Alam said. Yes, but I lost an entire month's pay. My father is very ill and was counting on me to help out. I lost everything, Kwan said suddenly in the dark, causing Lee and Alam to jump. I was going home to be married. We were supposed to return back to Shentao in 4 days. Now I'll be leaving by myself. Do you have family you're going home to? Alan asked Kwan. No, both of my parents are dead, Kwan said, staring off in the dark. My future wife's family was only allowing me to marry their daughter because I had a good job. There's no way to explain this to them. They will not understand. In the front of the bus, the driver woke up moaning and calling out a name. Lee hurried up the aisle, urging Alam and Kwan to come help. While Alam rushed to her friend, Kwan stayed in the center of the bus, searching through the mess and complaining bitterly to himself. Are you okay, sir? Asked Alam. The driver mumbled low and then passed out again. Go outside and ask for help, Alam told Lee. He needs to be lying down. Forgetting about the water-filled ditch, Lee exited the bus and found herself ankle-deep in muddy water and muck. Keeping her composure, she stepped out of the ditch and started asking fellow passengers for help. As she made her way around the bus in search of someone strong enough to carry the bus driver out, Lee noticed that more than half of the people had left. Only the elderly and injured remained. There's no one left that can help, Lee yelled to Alam. Where did they all go? I don't know. Maybe to go and spend my money? And my money too, Kwan griped under his breath. Tired of her friend and Kwan fussing about being robbed, Alam asked Kwan in a short, irritated tone for help with the driver. You can finish looking for your things after you help me get the driver outside. You don't tell me what to do. That is my job, Kwan snapped. Now, Alam snapped back. Acting like a spoiled child, Kwan stomped to the front of the bus and wrapped his arms under the driver. He dragged him off the bus and through the ditch before depositing him onto the field. Without as much as a glance tossed in Lee's, Alam's, or the driver's direction, Kwan stormed away, disappearing down the dark road. Can someone help us, please? The driver is badly hurt, Alam announced. 2 women came to the bus driver's aid, applying salve to his cuts and abrasions. Looking around, Alam noticed the woman's handiwork on some of the other injured passengers. Thank you, but he needs a doctor, Alam told them. The next bus won't come along until 8 in the morning. We are all planning to wait, one of the women said. Well, I don't want to wait that long, Lee said. I want to leave now, like the others. But we don't know how far we are from home, Alam argued. Lee stood up and started to leave. Then we'll just walk to the next town to find out where we are, and if it's still too far, we'll come back here and wait for the next bus with the others. Not wanting to be stuck in the middle of nowhere with strangers, Alam huffed in frustration and got up herself to follow her friend. Lee, wait for me! An hour down the road, beneath the star-filled sky, both Lee and Alam's feet were hurting and their stomachs growling. Neither girl had eaten much the past 24 hours. The little food Geely did have had been in her missing bag. As they neared the top of a small hill, the air became noticeably cooler. Wearing only light cotton shirts and pants, both girls wrapped their arms around their bodies and shivered. "It's the middle of summer. Why is it so cold?" asked Geely. "I don't like it," Alam pouted. "Can we turn back now?" "I think I see the town," Geely said. "How can you tell? There aren't any lights." Geely pointed to the valley below. The half-crescent moon produced just enough light to reflect off the tops of some low-lying clouds. "I can see the rooftops sticking out above the mist. It should only take 30 minutes at most to reach the town." "Fine. Maybe it will be warmer down there." Instead of increasing, the cooler-than-normal temperature fell significantly with every step the girls took. Their noses, ears, fingers, and toes had become numb, stinging with each frigid gust of wind. Along the roadside, frost had started to form on the flowers and grass. Fine pieces of ice struck Geely and Alam's bare arms and faces as the mist turned solid. "I'm so cold. I wish I never followed you," Alam chattered. "You would be cold at the bus, too," Geely countered. "At least the bus would be warm inside." "Quit complaining. Soon we'll have hot tea and something to eat," Geely scowled. 20 feet down the road, the frost along the roadside turned to snow. The blacktop disappeared beneath a blanket of white. The girls stepped cautiously onto the snow, stopping when the fine powder covered the tops of their shoes. "This is crazy," Geely said. "There's snow everywhere." Alam turned to leave. "Well, I don't like crazy. I'm going back to the bus." "What about the town?" asked Geely. Alam turned back around and looked at her friend in disbelief. Her jet black hair was covered in fine flakes of snow. Small clouds of mist emerged from her mouth with every breath, hovering and then floating away into the night air. "The town? We'll freeze to death before we make it to the first house." Geely knew Alam was right. Wiping away drops of melted snow from her eyelashes, she conceded with her friend and joined her. As the girls walked back up the hill and away from the town, a terrible scream stopped them in their tracks.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.